Okay, hello and welcome to the Movie Power Ranking Show. I'm your host, Gabe Alexander, and with me today, as always, is our critic, Mike Romick. Mike, you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you today, Mike?
How are you doing? I'm doing well.
I'm doing well as well. So today I kicked off the show with a little music from a movie. It's got a related movie coming out soon. Mike, do you got a guess on that music today?
Well, that would be Randy Newman and Toy Story.
Okay, that is correct. Now that is, I played that because we have Lightyear coming out in like a week and a half, so decided to give a little nod to Toy Story, and yeah, like you said, Randy Newman, the composer on that one. All right, so today we're going to do a May recap. Mike and I have caught a few things remaining from May, so we're gonna throw a few reviews at you first. Then we're gonna do a quick May recap, and we're gonna give a little ranking of our May movies and give a little maybe worst of the month. And then we'll get into some news and notes, time permitting, as well as a preview for Jurassic World Dominion, which comes out tomorrow as the Thursday, so it'll probably come out that day. And then Friday being the official release, the 10th, June 10th. So... All right. First, though, we, as usual, we're going to do errors and omissions from our last show. So, Mike, you said you had a couple things to say about last show, and I have one omission that I had. So, what do you got for us on your errors and omissions?
Well, first, a clarification. There was a little confusion on my part about Elvis's handler, who was Colonel Tom Parker. An honorary title, needless to say, but again, Colonel Tom Parker. And then we had a little teeny bit of confusion about Mark Lester, where Mark Lester, director of the Firestarter, the earlier version, and then Mark Lester, the very good child actor who played Oliver in the musical. Well, of course, not the same person. I mean, but again, one's a director, one's an actor, and of course, I don't think Mark Lester worked as the actor a whole lot. I mean, I don't think he made a transition to an adult performer. And the Mark Lester, the director, I mean, he probably did some B things, but again, nothing that we were memorable that we remembered them. And those were my two changes.
Okay. My one was for when I introed the show last time. I played a little music from Top Gun. I just did not credit the composer, which was Harold Faltermeyer. Did the score for Top Gun,
right?
Though the soundtrack is being more well known as far as like Kenny Loggins and those songs from the soundtrack, but I played a little of the score, which was from Harold Faltermeyer again. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, we'll have to maybe check this. Did he not do the very famous score from Beverly Hills Cop #1?
That's a good thing. So while I look that up, today, Mike, speaking of Top Gun, you caught the new one. You caught Maverick. So why don't you give us your thoughts and your review on Top Gun Maverick?
Well, since we both rewatched the first one, let's do a little background on that. Now, I've always enjoyed the first one. Never thought it was a great movie. It was military porn, but again, it was fun. And I watched it again, and the flaws are still there as far as the romance and all that. But again, the cast is certainly, good looking and likable, and it's got a good score, and the flying sequences are fun. But, it's a good movie. I mean, people, I think, remember it, as something they saw when they were young and they really liked it and all. But, it's an okay movie. It's not a terrible movie, but again, it's fun. Now, what did you think of that first one when you rewatched it?
Okay, let me get into Harold Faltermeyer before we forget about him. He did do the Beverly Hills Cop. He did 1 and 2. He also is known for the Running Man soundtrack. So
he did do 1 and 2, but then 3 came way later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did a rewatch of Top Gun from 1986. I had a 3D version, so I cracked the plastic on my 3D Blu-ray and dusted off the old 3D glasses. And can't say that the 3D really stood out all that much. I mean, it's some of the flying sequences were maybe a little bit enhanced with the 3D, but otherwise I don't think the 3D did a whole lot for it.
Well, that was a conversion years later.
Yeah, I mean, not released. It was when 3D was all the hype, and they were putting old classics out in conversions. So I had that, it had
a money grab.
So.
Yeah,
money grab. Yeah. Well, they got my money, and yeah, and the movie itself, it's got that 80s cheese on it. You got the romance story, which you don't even, you don't even really kind of see that stuff anymore, as far as a romance story in the action movie, nowadays. All the fighting sequences, anytime they're in the planes, you're with it. It's kind of when you're back on the ground and there's always the tension, it's just kind of cheesy with the tension between all the pilots and stuff. So, but not terrible. I mean, it's definitely rewatchable. From 1986. So, it's, I think it holds up pretty well.
And I think it was helpful. I mean, I've read some reviews where, you don't need to rewatch the first one. No, you kind of need a refresher as far as the relationships with Iceman and they talk about it, but, I was more involved with the relationships having just watched Top Gun #1. And, so, I thought it was of value to watch the first one. Now, the second one has gotten great reviews, terrific audience response, wonderful business, and I've surrendered to the hype. I really, really liked it. I mean, flying sequences were terrific. The romance with Jennifer Connelly wasn't too upsetting. Again, reminiscent of if anybody watches For All Mankind, with the bar scene, and also For the Right Stuff. You had that sort of vibe there. But again, the Jennifer Connelly was fine. But again, didn't take up as much time as the Kelly McGillis stuff in the first one. And, no, it was good, beautifully photographed. The fact they made a big deal about a lot of, most of the flying sequences done by the actors and stuff. Cast was very good. And, it's not that kind of movie where people are, giving great performances. That's not it. And, you have a little nostalgia there where, Val Kilmer not doing too well physically, has a small part, which was, sort of touching. Again, whether it was required, it was nice to, for Tom Cruise to do that for him. But what's funny is I have not heard, unless I just, I was trying to avoid spoilers before I saw it as far as, I knew they liked it, but not the plot. But actually, it's sort of, it has a much better story than the first one. But the story is very reminiscent of you mash up Star Wars: A New Hope with a James Bond climax. I'm thinking of You Only Live Twice, the volcano. But again, it's like, you have where he has to go down a certain path with these planes, and they got to do this, and there's this one little point that they have to get to, and then they got to get out of there. And it's like, I'm not messing it up for anybody, and you kind of figure how it's going to end. But again, I laughed out loud when they showed, like a digital thing of what they were going to go, and I went, oh my God, Star Wars. And then, of course, you see the location work, and it's like, oh, it's like that volcano in You Only Live Twice. But again, that aside, I enjoyed it, had a very good time. I could watch it again. I'm not really going to buy it, but again, it was, like I said, it had a better story than the first one. Where the first one was more or less, the guys and their relationships and stuff. But this had a good story, and I liked it. I liked it very much.
I believe it's Tom Cruise's most successful movie ever.
Yeah. He's hoping to cross $1 billion because you think, all the movies he made and stuff. But again, when he was at his hottest, $1 billion wasn't something that they looked for. It wasn't an attainable goal. And then, he fell into a bit of a slump, jumping on the couch and all that nonsense. And then, even the Mission Impossible movies were very successful, but he hasn't crossed that $1 billion threshold. That he hadn't even had $100 million weekend. I was like, wow, that's news to me. I mean, I just assumed some of the Mission Impossible. But of course, that's sort of a new phenomenon with the, you got to cross $100 million on the weekend or it's a failure or something. But he really is very successful at marketing his movies. Not so much here, but overseas and, foreign locations. He goes everywhere, gives all the interviews, and, he does a good job with that.
Yeah, we'll see how soon it drops on, I believe it'll probably go to Paramount Plus.
Right.
I think it's a Paramount movie. So I wonder what the window will be for the streaming release on that, because Disney Plus announced that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is June 22nd. So that's, technically 1 month. It opened in May and now has a June streaming release. So,
right. But Tom Cruise has made a big point. He wants people to see it on the big screen. So I don't think Paramount wants to anger him, particularly with the two Mission Impossibles, hovering in the background.
Yes, that's a good point. So, yeah, maybe it might be a little bit of a wait for Top Gun
right.
Maverick on the Paramount streaming. So,
right.
Okay, Mike, you also caught a movie called Eiffel. Never heard of it on my end. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it? And what was it?
It's funny. I hadn't heard of it either. Then I saw it, and then I read a little about it, and I was very interested. It's about the construction of the Eiffel Tower by Mr. Eiffel. And it's in French, the actual work on the Eiffel Tower is fascinating. They have this, I assume, CGI things of, the construction of it and, partially built. And it's like that was wonderful, worth the price of admission there. But then, as I read afterward, they stick in this, there is no other word for it, but stupid love story, which is fictional, with him having an affair, and, the cast is all good looking and, all this. But again, it was like, I was longing for, let's drop them and get back to the building of the tower. And a documentary on the Eiffel Tower would have probably been way more effective. But again, it wasn't that it was terrible. It was just, that romance slowed down the movie. And knowing a little about the construction of the Eiffel Tower for the World Exposition type thing, it was only supposed to last, I thought it was supposed to last, 2 years or something, like the New York World's Fair where they tore everything down except the Unisphere. But I guess the tower was originally only supposed to last 20 years. Well, there's a really good plot point I won't mess up for somebody where Mr. Eiffel was not going to tolerate that. But, they make a point that people, there was some consternation among the French people about the construction of it and all this. And then at the end of the movie, go figure, the Eiffel Tower is built. And, they sort of lead you to believe, that the French people just like, hey, how fantastic. Well, I know enough to know that was not the case. That, I thought that was, as goofy as the love story was, that was offensive, that they made, made by French people for the, mainly for a French audience, that, that the French embraced the Eiffel Tower. Not true. Do a little research. The French people, in a word, hated it. I mean, and it took many, many years and many tourists coming to visit for them to change their opinion on the Eiffel Tower. So, a sort of a mixed review. I mean, I like the construction stuff, but, a little, goofy love story and a inaccurate response, at the very end to make it sort of like a flag-waving happy ending, really hurt the movie. But I don't know. I liked it, and, it's, with reservations.
Yeah, it looks like it was released in France last year, in 21, and then it got the June, the first weekend here in June, June 3rd, was the U.S. and Canada release on that Eiffel. So, I'm trying to look at the box office for it and see if it did anything. It's not even.
Yeah, it looked like it's one weekend out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even in the top 11. So, yeah. Yeah,
the places it was playing here, it were 1 weekend gone. Which again, I'm glad I saw it, but not especially memorable in general.
Well, let me talk about something I caught streaming on Disney Plus. Just because of the reviews on it have been so good, I decided to watch Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. And
now, you're too old to have watched that animated show, correct?
No, because the animated show, I think, came out early 90s, so that would have been right in my wheelhouse as far as cartoon watching. And, I had slight memory of it when I was, as a kid, but this movie is great. I'm glad I caught it. I'm glad I listened to the reviews and the podcasters I listened to, because this is a fun movie. It's funny. It's got a lot of good action moments. It's got some, a plethora of cameos from the cartoon world. I mean, we're talking, this is a Disney production, but you're talking, you have Paramount characters, you have Netflix characters, you have Warner Brothers characters are not as heavy in this, but there are a few references to Warner Brothers. But no, not like Bugs Bunny doesn't show up, but Roger Rabbit is in this. And when I was talking to you about it, Mike, I said this is almost like a sequel to Roger Rabbit. Or Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And we're talking a mixture of live action and animated characters, and then there's also a running gag between Chip and Dale, because one of them, Chip, I think is still 2D traditional animation, and then Dale, in his search for fame and glory, he does a surgery and he becomes a 3D animated CGI character. So it's funny, and John Mulaney and Andy Samberg do the voices, and they're very funny, and you got to watch a breakdown afterwards because of all the cameos. I noticed a lot of them, but there were a lot I missed, and no, it's almost a must see, I would say. I mean, it sounds very strange. It calls back to those Rescue Rangers shows, which, it ran for maybe 3 seasons, Mike, in the early 90s. But, there's references to that show and a lot of other things. There's the whole plot is about these knockoff, straight to video movies that you and I would always make fun of.
Right.
You have to see it for that alone, Mike,
Oh yeah. I intend to watch it because I was way too old for the Rescue Rangers, But when I was little, I loved the Chip and Dale cartoons, the original. After you, and which one had a red nose and which one had a black nose, and they were very funny. I mean, the original Disney cartoons, which I think there were plenty of them, not as many as Donald and Mickey and the gang. But again, it's no. On your recommendation, I will definitely watch that. I mean, it sounds like something I would truly enjoy, and I think our audience would too.
Yeah. No, I definitely think it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it's very family friendly, but it's from Disney, so, the whole family can watch it. But, if you're my age, like 40s, you're gonna get a lot of it. I mean, it's just, it's a fun treat and not very long. So, it kind of just zips by and, very entertaining. Very entertaining. Lots of good comedy and cartoon references. So
they needed to promote that more. I heard nothing about it. I heard a mention about it, and then you told me you'd watched it. I was surprised you watched it. But again, it was like, that's something they should have promoted a little better so the audience would know that it's there. Because there's not only, people that remember Rescue Rangers like you and Chip and Dale like me, but, if they promoted it, I think, a little better, then they would get a better response to it, particularly since it's very good.
Yeah, I think it came out the Memorial Day weekend where, Top Gun was at the movie theaters, and you also had a lot of things drop streaming-wise that weekend. So there was a lot of competition for eyeballs that Memorial Day weekend, and I think it got lost in the shuffle. I think if it would have maybe waited a week and waited for this week, the previous weekend, which was June 3rd, because nothing came out, Top Gun was still number one movie with 90 million in its second week, and number two is Doctor Strange. I mean, there was nothing coming out that first weekend in June, so maybe Disney could have pushed it one more week. But I think people are going to find this, just by word of mouth and stuff down the road, just by listening to podcasts and stuff like this, because everyone's going to recommend it. I mean,
how does it look with the 2D matching up with the more?
It's incredible. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, it's as good, if not better, than Roger Rabbit. So
wow,
yeah,
many years have gone by.
Yeah,
because for years they tried to do a sequel to Roger Rabbit, and everybody just held their head because it was such a nightmare to make it. And of course, it holds up well. I saw it a few years ago at the drive-in, and it was, it held up beautifully. They had a retro weekend and a retro night or whatever it was. I forget what it was with, Roger Rabbit and another Disney, but again, it held up very nicely.
Yeah. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. Check it out. Okay, so Mike, do you have anything else to review or talk about that you've seen between last show and now?
No, I don't believe so. Let me check my trusty list here, but no, I don't think so. Okay.
So let's give the audience a little May power rankings here. So you've seen a lot of the movies from this month. I've seen quite a few. I haven't gotten to Top Gun yet, but so why don't you give us, Mike, your maybe top two movies from the month, and then if maybe you have a worst of the month, and something that the audience should avoid at all costs. So, what do you got there? What is your thoughts on
there
that?
really wasn't a lot that that came out that I saw, but I mean recommendations. I mean, I would say The Duke and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, those were just very enjoyable. And and then as far as a worst, I really don't have a worst because there wasn't. The Top Gun Maverick came out, and I certainly liked that, and Downton Abbey, I enjoyed it. I mean, Sadly, I don't have a worst. Normally, I would jump all over that, but not this month. How about you?
Well, with the asterisks of not seeing, Top Gun, Maverick, or I haven't seen the Bob's Burgers movie, or and I probably will never see the Downton Abbey movie. I would put my power rankings would go Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and then I would do Chippendale Rescue Rangers under that.
Wow.
And
okay.
then as far as a worst of, I'm going to say Firestarter. I think this movie might show up on some people's top worst of the year. So I'm going to put it as my worst of the month, that, this is something you really don't need to catch out when they're in as far as a horror release. And again, I think this Firestarter is going to end up on some people's worst of the year lists by
what have
year.
you heard about this movie? I think it's just Watcher. It's not The Watcher. That's a different movie. But Watcher. I read a very nice review in the New York Times for it, but it certainly came in under the radar. I mean, as far as,
Yeah, I think that was a brief mention on our summer preview show. So yeah, it's a limited release, and I don't remember which month it was. Do you recall when it comes out?
Yeah,
this Watcher?
It already's been released.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it didn't get a really broad release, and it seems like in the horror wheelhouse where that would be alternative programming to some of this like you said, a weekend when nothing came out. But again, it was like I don't know. I thought I only read the one review, which was very favorable. It's sort of like it has a kind of feminist tilt to it, but there's nothing wrong with that. But again, it's like to just shove it out there, I assume it'll be streaming before you know it.
Yeah, it's an IFC film, so that probably will be streaming soon. But yeah, it was the 11th highest grossing movie, right under that Crimes of the Future by David Cronenberg.
Yeah, I was going to go to that, but the more I read about it, I mean, some reviews were very nice, but I thought, I couldn't work myself up to it. And we talked about it, that it'll be streaming soon enough. I have a question. Bob's Burgers, what studio is that, the Bob Burgers movie?
That's Fox, which would be Disney now, 20th Century.
So that will be streaming on Disney.
That'll go to Disney Plus, soon, probably next month, I would say, July,
Right.
But, yeah, and your Eiffel, Mike, I don't even see it in the top 25 of last weekend. Your Eiffel movie isn't even charting on Box Office Mojo, so, I mean...
Well, it probably had, there's, you're talking Top Gun, 4,000 or so screens or whatever, and Eiffel probably had, if they were lucky, if it had 50 screens, so... And again, releasing this French movie about the Eiffel Tower in the middle of the summer season is just an odd way to do it. You'd have thought that would have went streaming right away. I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah. You want another interesting note from this last weekend is that Sony decided to put Morbius back in theaters in 1,000 screens. And I think it only made like $300,000. Let me see. Yeah, it did not make. It made $88,000, and then it made $132,000 on Saturday, $89,000 on Sunday, and then $47,000 on Monday. So didn't do too well there.
I was wondering how many people were going back to make fun of the movie. In other words, not having seen it, it could be the Citizen Kane of movies. Hard to say, but again, it's Citizen Kane of that type of movie, but I doubt it. But anyway, that was so strange at the opposite Top Gun and Doctor Strange still in release, and they're going to bring that back. I don't know if they were trying to create do you have the figures there? What is it actually? Has it made total? A lot of times they do that so they can cross a certain threshold of money wise.
No, it's only made $73 million total.
And there's no way it was going to make $100 million.
Yeah. So there's no threshold they were trying to get to. So the reasoning for this was that it's like a social media meme thing where everyone kind of makes fun of the movie with these memes, and the Sony then takes that as like, oh, it's popular. We need to put it back in theaters. And it's like, they really don't get the joke that like people are like ripping on the movie. And even Jared Leto got in on it because he made a little video for YouTube or TikTok or something where he's reading the script for Morbius 2. And I guess in the movie, like, because I don't think either one of us have seen it yet, he says it's Morbin time. Like, it's Morbius time, but he, like, shortens it, calls it Morbin time.
Yeah.
And so that was the tag for Morbius 2, was Morbius 2, it's Morbin time, and Jared Leto's reading it on a video. He's, like, trying to keep it secret, like a top secret script. And, I mean, it's just a joke, and I don't think anyone really gets it, but it's a joke. Just another strange Jared Leto information, Mike, that I found out from Den of Nerds this week was Jared Leto almost has like a cult-like organization, where people pay to follow him around on an island.
He's involved in this, really?
Yes. He dresses in like a white robe and has people pay to follow him around on this island, and they basically just do what you do.
Are you sure that's not some kind of joke? Sounds like a joke.
Den of Nerds Googled it right live on the show, and he brought it up. Give it a Google there, because I think it's a real thing.
To add to that, if you're wanting odd Jared Leto stories, Leto, I normally DVR stuff, fast forward through the commercials, stopped and I had to go back. He has a fragrance, a fancy schmancy perfume fragrance commercial where he has his own fragrance now. And it looks like one of those ones that's usually Charlize Theron or Julia Roberts does, but it's him with the fragrance. I couldn't tell you the name because I was just like agog at the commercial.
That's
what I was looking out to buy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, so speaking of that stuff, let's move into our news and notes. We were, talking about our summer preview show. It was a couple episodes ago, and there were two that I kind of missed from that, and because we got trailers for them this week. One was the Predator movie, the fifth Predator movie, but it's called Prey, and I think I told you to watch the trailer for that. A trailer dropped for it, and
never heard of it till you told me. Never heard a word about it.
No, and I think it's going to be a streaming only release on Hulu in August, I believe. If I could get IMDb to come back up, I'll look it up. But we missed it on our summer movie preview show because again, I don't know if it had a set release date, but it is in the Predator universe there. But it's up against the Native Americans.
Really?
Predators up against.
Yeah, I did not see the preview. So it's a prequel, you think?
It's a prequel, it's playing in that Predator sandbox, but it's a prequel. I mean, I guess it's happening before the Arnold movie and all that, so.
Anyone in it or connected with it of consequence that you're aware of?
No, not. The director is Dan Trachtenberg, which I kind of recognize that name, but as far as the stars, it looks like there's a lot of Native American actors in this.
Hopefully they got paid well. Let's hope so.
So trailer for that dropped, and that is out August 5th. And on Hulu. And I think, again, like we were briefly discussing, I think August is going to be a huge month for streaming. You're going to get some streaming wars happening there because I think every major streaming service is going to have a big traction coming out in August. So, like HBO has the Game of Thrones show. Netflix has that Sandman got an August release. So Hulu has the Prey. Disney Plus is doing the She-Hulk show in August. So you're gonna have
Lord
a lot of
comes out
competition.
the first week of September.
Yeah, a lot of competition. Say that again, Mike. What's coming in
I'm
September?
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Lord of the Rings comes out, but it's the very first week of September on Amazon, I believe.
Okay, yep. So a lot of competition for eyeballs coming here in August and September, especially on the streaming services. Because if you recall, we noted that August is kind of a weak month as far as a summer movie. So this may be an opportunity may be seen here by the streaming services to...
Because, really, August, it didn't become a dumping ground until within the last, I don't know, maybe 15 years. Because kids, back in the dark ages when I went to school, you didn't go back to school till the Wednesday after Labor Day. So August, kids were still out of school and things were being released. And then, of course, now with, global warming and all this, the school dates have, moved into starting, sometimes the second week of August. And so then you have suddenly it's a dumping ground. But every once in a while, whether Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something comes out that's, is worthwhile because, there's no competition. But again, it has normally at the theaters become a dumping ground, until, August and, something usually Labor Day opens. But then you have into September, and then you start to get end of September and October, you get the New York Film Festival, and you get the Oscar bait stuff that's, coming out.
Right, and then you also get a lot of horror stuff coming out in September and October, to capture that horror audience for Halloween and stuff. So
yes, I have hopes for that Halloween, even though the Halloween, the end of the current trilogy. I mean, I liked the first one, didn't much care for the second one, but the third one, let's hope they, a good script. I mean, I like Jamie Lee Curtis, and I have hopes for it, but, I have hopes for the second one, too, and we're very disappointed.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I like that first one. Second one, had moments.
But moments, yeah.
But, we'll see. It's called Halloween Ends, and it should be coming out in October.
But is it again Halloween Ends?
Yes, Ends. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, unless it makes a lot of money, then that ain't the end.
Yeah. So, and the other news and note, Mike, I had, which I didn't even realize it was a TV series until I looked it up here on IMDb, but with the Resident Evil is going to have a series now on Netflix starting in July. And so a trailer dropped for that this week, and I didn't even catch the Welcome to Raccoon City Resident Evil yet, and that came out in 2021. Did you?
No.
I
do not think, I hate to admit this, but I don't think I've seen any of the Resident Evil. Now, again, I assume the first one, where are you on that series? What do you think?
I think they're a guilty pleasure for me. They're not, they're not great movies, but, I can pop it on, especially in October as just kind of like a background movie or, just something stupid to watch. I think they get worse as they go along, but in a way they almost get better. Especially the last few. Now, the last one, the final chapter, it's actually a pretty bad movie. But the first two leading up to that, they're not so bad. And I don't even know if I can remember the names of them. But, is
there anyone connected with those that there's a thread through there? The director, the writer, the producer, the star?
The other P.T. Anderson, Paul, the other Paul Anderson, not the, Licorice Pizza one, but he is involved with a lot of them. I don't think he's directed all of them, but Mila Jovovich is in all of them in that first series of them. And so now you had an attempt at a reboot with the 2021 movie, Welcome to Raccoon City, and now we're getting a Netflix series in July here, which I thought it was a movie, but it's apparently a series.
Now, is he still connected, or is she still connected with it?
No, I don't think so. I think they just bought the rights. I think Netflix got the rights, but I think somehow Sony still has the rights to them too, because that Welcome to Raccoon City was a Sony release. So I don't know. They might be splitting the rights here between the two.
Now, was she not also in most of the Underworld movies?
No, that's Mila Jovovich is in Resident Evil, and that's Kate Beckinsale is the
Kate Beckinsale, right. I like Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be rebooting that Underworld series here before we know it too.
Yeah, it'll be a series or something, and it'll suddenly pop up, with somebody that looks like Kate Beckinsale.
Yep. All right, Mike, anything else for news and notes before we do our preview for Jurassic World Dominion?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I a couple trailers dropped. There's a movie on Disney Plus, I think, going to be called Strange Worlds or Strange World. That came out this week.
Saw the preview, yeah.
That looked okay. We got some Black Adam stuff. A little bit came out this week.
I would check that Strange World. I thought it said theaters, but I could be wrong on that. We had that deal with the Green Man.
I think it might be Disney Plus, Mike. I think it might be only Disney Plus, but we'll have to see.
Okay.
We'll
do that at the correction. Because like I said, I saw the preview. Looked pretty amazing in a different kind of story, and I thought, I'm interested in that. But it looked amazing.
Yeah.
But, okay, now, where are you in your rewatching of the Jurassics?
Okay, well, let's tell the audience of our, the Jurassic World rewatch is going on for Mike and I. So I had done the first three. So I did the Jurassic Park with Steven Spielberg. I did the Lost World, Steven Spielberg.
Terrible.
We both don't really care for that. I like it a little bit more maybe than you do, but
I think it's probably Spielberg's worst, along with Temple of Doom. But then the third one, and we're in agreement. We both like it.
I like the third, Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Joe Johnson directing. Like that one. I like that one. I think it has the best special effects. I think it has the best action out of really all three. Just the first Jurassic Park is just a really good, solid movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, but Jurassic Park 3 is the funnest, I think. It's just kind of like a chase movie. It's
and it was reviewed badly, and it sort of, they said they killed the franchise, and I liked it when it came out, and I was happy to hear from you, not only that you liked it, but that it's sort of like a cult thing now, and I would love to see it again. I'm sure I can. I don't own that, but I wish I did, because I own the other two that I got as a box set or something, and the Lost World, the last time I saw it, in fact, was at the drive-in. Again, I go to those retro nights, and it was almost unwatchable. And I read the book, and the book was terrific, a page-turner. They took the title and very little else, and Michael Crichton, the author, was involved, and it was they should have kept the story from the book. He could have made a fantastic movie, but they did not. And then did you go on to the next Jurassic World?
I've yet to do Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, so I still have those two to go. So, but you told me you did Fallen Kingdom.
Yes, we did Fallen Kingdom last night. Now, where I am on the Jurassic Worlds, I can't say either of the first two were terrific. I mean, special effects terrific on both, and they held up nicely when we watched the Fallen Kingdom last night. But acting, I mean, that's where all of a sudden I realized Chris Pratt was just taking the check and walking through. Just doesn't seem involved in it. And Bryce Dallas Howard, she's always been awful. The only time I moderately liked her, and I'd have to see it again, is The Help. I mean, I don't believe a word out of her mouth. She's just a terrible actress. And again, you did have in the Fallen King, you had some nice scenes with Jeff Goldblum testifying, and there was that little girl. She isn't too bad. She's not like the girl in the original Jurassic Park screaming all the time. But again, it's just the dialogue, the acting, the story is okay in either one of them. But again, and we were talking about the length. They both are around 2 hours-ish, where the new one's 2 hours and 27. But, it's just, I guess the idea is, and, do the dinosaurs bring you in, and are they there? Yes. In cases of Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the dinosaurs, make it worth the price of admission. I mean, but, to not have a better script, actors, direct them so that they care about the material. And again, the second one is directed by, I always mispronounce his name, initials Boyna, whatever. He's the guy that directed the fantastic movie The Impossible with Naomi Watts, the typhoon.
J.A. Bayona is his name.
Yeah.
He did
on the basis of The Impossible, he got that. And, The Impossible was terrifically directed, amazing, a movie that most people don't know about came out at Christmas, God figures, because it was pushing for the, Academy Awards, and she got a nomination, but again, it should have got special effects and all sorts of stuff. But again, it was a disappointment, and of course, I believe he's doing number 3, is he not?
Let's look it up. The new Jurassic, the Dominion. You think he's doing that? Let me see. My thoughts on those Jurassic Worlds. I mean, I think this is Colin Trevorrow who did the first.
Oh, the one that did the first one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Now, before you get into your thoughts, the reviews are out on Dominion. I've skimmed over it all over the map. People saying it's fun and enjoyable, and other people saying it's the worst of the 3. I mean, it is not like those Top Gun Maverick reviews. And again, what I was surprised at from just skimming, I didn't want to know the story or anything, there's a dispute on the special effects. Some people say they're wonderful. Other people say very disappointing special effects. I was quite stunned when that popped up on my phone late yesterday because they had a premiere, and then, suddenly, I've not seen like in the New York Times or anything yet. I'm sure they're out there. I just didn't do that yet. But again, on the internet, the trolls are out. Now, what's your opinion on the Jurassic World?
Well, that's a little disappointing to hear about the special effects, because I think that's probably the best part of these movies. I mean, they vastly improve on the special effects from the first trilogy with these Jurassic Worlds.
Sure.
I don't think they disappoint with the dinosaurs and the dinosaur action, but I just definitely think, like you were saying, when you get into those human plots and the human characters in the Jurassic Worlds, it's not very good. You're just waiting for the next kind of dinosaur stuff to happen. So, and the things with them training the raptors, and he can has a relationship with the raptors. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't buy that, and no, I'm not all excited to see this new Jurassic World Dominion. I'm not. It's not like it's a must-see blockbuster for me this summer. So, I mean, I'd probably rather see the Top Gun just because of the reviews on it and stuff. So, but no, Jurassic World, the first one, it does a lot of that cloning business, if you remember, where it's like they kind of make up their own dinosaurs. I don't know. I think that's kind of stupid. And they kind of do the same thing in the second one, where that dinosaur that they're auctioning off at the end, that's a made up dinosaur too. So I don't know. It's as far as like a monster movies and stuff, I like it, but as far as the acting in it and stuff, you can't. It's that's not what you go see it for, but still, you could do better on that stuff. So when are you planning to see Jurassic World, Mike? Hello, Mike.
Are you there?
Yes, are you there? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I lost you. I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
No, that the whole cloning business I was going to go back to is like, because I just saw that, that it sort of seems like oddly stuck in there where the daughter is actually a clone of the granddaughter is actually a clone of the daughter and all that, sort of trying to key it in with that dinosaur, made up dinosaur. It's really clunky. I mean, it really isn't a smooth transition. That whole more or less haunted house thing at the end where they're crawling all over the house, dinosaurs chasing them, goes on an exceedingly long amount of time. But as you asked me, I'll go to Borrow. I'm not going to that very first show with be a little too busy for me. But I'll go, and 2 hours and 27 minutes. I don't know about that. But again, I'm looking forward to it. But again, having been disappointed with the other two, as long as they give me the dinosaurs, which again, I assume they've spent much money on those dinosaurs. If they give me that, I'll be happy. I'm not expecting it to be well acted or scintillating dialogue. I just don't see that happening. But it's odd that they've gone back to that first director who's a producer on the second one. So, I don't know. I'll let you know.
We'll see. Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, let's wrap it up. I know we're just under an hour, but we can cut it a little short. So,
there's nothing opening opposite. They've given Jurassic World the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything of consequence up against Jurassic World, and then the following weekend is Lightyear, which is June 7th.
And the following weekend is Elvis.
Yes. So we got a big one every week here in June. And, we'll see. So our future shows are going to be, we'll just, Mike and I will be hitting reviews on all these June movies coming out. And we'll eventually do a June recap show. And then we'll keep going through these summer movie months and getting our reviews in and doing some preview shows too for stuff coming out in the future. So that's the plan, Mike. So next show specifically will probably be, it depends, we might maybe wait 2 weeks so we can hit Jurassic World and Lightyear. We'll see. Maybe, I don't know if Jurassic World's going to warrant its own show.
Now, are you going to go back and do some Toy Stories before Lightyear or not?
I don't think so. No, I don't know. Maybe Toy Story 4.
But it's a prequel of Buzz Lightyear's origin story, more or less. I mean,
I think maybe Toy Story. I think Toy Story would maybe be the better one to see.
Right.
The first one. But yeah, I mean,
everybody loves Toy Story 4. I thought it was okay. I think Toy Story 3 is my favorite of the bunch. What about you?
I like Toy Story 4. They kind of start to run together for me, but no, I liked it. I liked the Plush Rush, Key and Peele's characters in the Toy Story 4, and I thought it was funny. Those movies are fun, and I want to see Lightyear. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater. But yeah, I mean, your rewatch would be the first 4 Toy Stories, if you want to do a rewatch, for Lightyear.
Yeah, I did not know until you just told me that Doctor Strange was coming up already. I mean, I guess with, these big action movies coming out, the box office is going to drop, and Disney Plus, wants those eyeballs that are, running away from Netflix.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, Doctor Strange is later this month on Disney Plus. So
yeah, I'll give that a rewatch. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again. We had another good show, and we'll see you, if not in 1 week, in 2 weeks.
Okay. All right, Mike. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for the views on the Movie Power Rankings channel. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. As we try to bring you our thoughts on the movies and the movie business. So, All right, Mike, we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Anything you want to say before we go?
No.
All right.
At the movies or in front of the TV, whichever works better for you.
That's right. Okay, see everyone next time. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.